issues, go ahead and put those in the chat box. If not, please help me introduce our two experts for this month. We have Tavistock Restaurant's Executive Chef, Jason, and we have the Lake Nona Performance Club's Fitness and Wellness Manager, RoQue Harmon. So we are excited to have both of them here with us to share their expertise. And so I'll go ahead and introduce them officially. As soon as I can. On the next slide here. So Jason is a graduate of the Culinary Institute of America in Hyde Park, New York, and has been an integral part of the TRC collection and culinary team for more than 12 years. He now serves as executive support chef on our culinary leadership team. His marketing and his mom refer to him as Culinary King of Lake Nona. He's been appeared on Chopped Grill Masters and won numerous awards for his culinary prowess. So excited to have you here today. And then next up we have RoQue, who will be doing the second half of our Meet the Expert presentation today. RoQue is a Southern California native and a California State University Fullerton graduate. His experience ranges from strength training coaching with the UCLA football team and the CSUF Olympic Weightlifting Club to working as a physical therapy aide and helping people recover from injuries and chronic pain. RoQue knew he wanted to be more involved with promotion and exercise prevention of health issues, so he became a personal trainer and fitness team leader. So we have a great plan for today's cooking demo. Followed by a quick healthy diet presentation with some tips from RoQue, and followed by a Q&A. We'll try to get through as many of those questions as we can, depending on where we land with time. So this is going to be recorded. If you have any issues, like I mentioned, feel free to shoot those over in the chat box. Hopefully everybody can see Chef Jason and his screen okay. So if you have any questions, feel free to drop those in, and like I said, we'll do Q&A at the end. So I'm going to go ahead and turn this over to Jason, and I'm going to go ahead and place myself on mute.
Thank you, Rachel, and welcome everybody. What I'm going to make today is a couple of really light, quick to produce, utilizing seasonal ingredients, and with really some great nutrition in mind. So the first item is a little farmer's cob salad. There's toasted farro, toasted quinoa. We mix those together, put a little vinaigrette on that, some smashed avocado with a really nice cilantro oil, and then a medley of seasonal local roasted vegetables. So for that one, I'm going to get started right now. What I have is I've toasted the farro, I've toasted the quinoa, and I cooked it together. And I'm going to mix this with a little bit of vinaigrette. So I got my vinaigrette. This is a sunflower vinaigrette. I use sunflower oil and sunflower seeds, and both of those were grown locally. Grown and produced locally to where I am in Florida. So real simple, just mixing this up, nice light, and I'm going to put that down as my base for this salad. Now, this is really a great little lunch item. Nice, kind of give you that midday fuel and energy pack that you're looking for. So, got that. Simple. Next thing.
Can you show us a little bit? Your name on your go-to meeting is blocking a little bit of it.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm right here right now. I got that quinoa and that farro in a dish. So the next item is a smashed avocado, nice and bright green like that. And what I did was pureed some cilantro ahead of time and smashed it in with the avocado, a little bit of garlic, some lime juice, salt. And I'm going to put that in as a second layer. And what we're doing here is just building a little height on the dish, and I'll show you in a second. So we got that next, right? And then the trio of vegetables I did, we got roasted mushrooms. So these are all served chilled. So this is a blend of 3 different mushrooms. There's shiitake, cremini, and portobello. And I roasted these in some fresh herbs, shallots, and a little tiny bit of really good olive oil. So intentions to keep this light. We're heading into spring. I had some nice jumbo asparagus. Again, it's been roasted. A little bit of olive oil on that. And in the kitchen, we like to use fat. We all know that, but we like to use healthy fat too. It was some nice colorful cauliflower. So that's some yellow cauliflower. They call cheddar cauliflower. And its cousin, the purple one. So we're incorporating some really good nutrients with those 2 items. We all know the yellow and the purple nutrients are nice. So,
Jason, where do you find that kind of cauliflower? In the store, or is that like a specialty item?
You can find that in the store. If you go to a good supermarket or a Whole Foods, you can find that. And this one we get grown locally for us from Mick Farm. They're in St. Cloud. So they do these 2. They do a green cauliflower, really nice, and regular white cauliflower. So I'm topping this right now with a bunch of this vegetable. So we're going veg heavy on this, and you got a little bit of everything. You got that nice avocado to provide a healthy fat and lots of energy. We got those grains, those really, really good for you ancient grains, and the veg. And what we're left with is a cool little pile of vegetables, nice roasted on top of that dish. You kind of see both directions. Sorry, I'm not a camera expert.
We can see. Looks like you have the quinoa and then the avocado smash. How did you smash the avocado? What's your tip on doing that?
My tip is to split the avocado, take the seed out, scoop out the meat with a spoon, and then I mix it with the cilantro oil, some lime juice, some lime zest, a little bit of salt, and then I really just put on a glove and smash that avocado in there. That's a good way to do 10 or 20 of them at a time if you wanted to do a whole bunch. Alternatively, you could use, a big fork or like a potato masher, like grandma's old school mashed potato masher. All those would work great. So that's really as simple as that dish is. It's light, simple, brings together a bunch of flavor, a bunch of color, and a bunch of nutrients. So I'm gonna put that off to the side here, and I got one more dish for you. The next one is going to be, let's see if I can get this set up a little. Give me 1 second. So I'm going to do a little blackberry and yogurt parfait. So on this parfait, I wanted to go vegetable heavy, and I wanted to go the vegan route on it. So I got a coconut yogurt and a cashew-based yogurt. And then there's some companies out there right now, names to not be discussed, but they make a like a soy-based or an almond-based whipping cream. So I whipped that cream and I mixed it equal parts of all 3, the 2 yogurts and the cream, and I was left with kind of a sweetened cashew yogurt and coconut yogurt that I'm going to put and build this parfait with. So this will serve as our base. Again, lots of protein, lots of nutrients, and I'm putting that in first. So the second thing, right now it's a great time of the year to get blackberries. And I got these fresh, awesome looking blackberries right here. And what I did, and it's super simple, I got a pan hot. I put the blackberries in, crushed them up a little bit, put some sugar in the raw, little tiny kiss of orange juice, a little bit of orange zest, and some chopped mint. And I let that cook down, and the raspberries burst and, you know, incorporated all their flavor, and we're left with that from, let's see if I can get a better image of that. We're left with that from the blackberries. So we're calling that a blackberry and orange mint compote, and I'm going to put that in next. And we're really just layering this together with the yogurt, right? So the next thing I did, this is fun, and I've been doing this for forever. These are my rendition of a candied nut. You could do them with any, but these are done with cashews. And I quickly blanch the cashews. So I take hot boiling water, put the cashews in, raw cashews. And it seems a little, some of them boil cashews, but trust me, this works. You boil the cashews for about 30 seconds, you take them out, and they go right into powdered sugar. And in this powdered sugar, I put some pulverized casabel chilies. So you get a little bit of smokiness from them and just a mild chili flavor. Those get tossed, and that powdered sugar almost coats the outside of the cashews. And those go right on a parchment lined sheet tray in the oven. They come out, they're golden brown and crunchy and sweet and got a little bit of heat to them. So those will go in next. I'm just gonna put about 6 or 7. And then
I know I'm not the only person that's gonna ask this, but where do you find those peppers or chilies?
Those chilies, you find them any supermarket that has a somewhat solid Mexican section will have those dried chilies, and they're pretty common. I found them at Publix.
Nice.
So we're doing the same exact thing again. I'm going more blackberries in here. After that, second layer yogurt. Couple of more cashews. And then the last thing here, I did a little mint oil. So I took just fresh mint and a whole bunch of fresh mint and a little tiny bit of, again, good olive oil. Just to give it a little freshness, brightness, that instead of 1 bite or 2 bites of mint here and there, it gets incorporated through this whole parfait when you eat it. So I'm just putting a couple of little pieces of fresh mint on top, and that's really it. So you got your coconut and almond, coconut cashew yogurt mix on the bottom, the berries, and then we go up, we do it again, cashews in there, couple fresh blackberries on top, and some fresh mint. So really good, really nice and light for this time of year, and again packed with nutrients, protein, vitamins, all that good stuff. Those are the two. Anybody was saving questions for the end?
Yeah, we'll go ahead and let RoQue get started just so that we can get through our webinar today. But if anybody has any questions brewing, go ahead and put them in the chat box. And we can address questions for Jason or any questions for RoQue as soon as we're done. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen, and RoQue's just going to go through a quick, you know, how to eat healthy presentation and kind of touch on some of the items that Jason was using and talk about some of the nutritional value to food. So without further ado, RoQue, go ahead and take it from here.
Awesome. Thank you, Rachel. And thank you, of course, to everyone who's taking the time out of your day to listen to what me and Jason have to present to you, as well as thank you, Jason. Those definitely look very delicious dishes right there. and I'll be able to touch on, kind of the importance of being able to, kind of prepare your own foods, and exactly what Jason was talking about as far as those colorful items and nutrients. Thank you, Rachel, for already introducing me. Just a quick caveat, I've got a lot of experience in personal training and fitness and education. I am not a nutritionist or dietitian, so by no means do I, or any personal trainer, try to prescribe nutrition. But my main goal for, like I have right there for you today, is just awareness and understanding the basics of what is in your food and nutrition. And so kind of looking at what Jason just prepared for us, or eating anything that you're going to eat, is just understanding, what are the contents of your food, what's going in it, and why it's important to make your own food, or just have an understanding of what's going into your food. And then basically from there, being able to identify what's in your food, and it's all right, Rachel, and talking about some changes and how some small changes can have a huge impact on your health, your fitness goals, your energy levels, and everything associated with wellness. So I have some very simple basic recommendations, and nutrition can often be very overwhelming, confusing, and it's just easy to kind of go with the easy options of fast food and things that are cheap and don't take a whole lot of effort. But when it comes to planning a healthy diet, just think about a lot of these simple basics. Eating in moderate proportions. I personally never say you shouldn't eat ice cream or pizza or burgers. Absolutely, there is no such thing as a bad food, but everything in moderation. We have to think about eating healthy 80% of the time, and 20% of the time have some fun, eat for our mental state. And then having a balance of macronutrients. So Jason touched on the protein, carbohydrates, and fats that are in those healthy options that he just stated. And I'm going to talk about the differences between those. And from there, having a variety of foods, knowing that we have different macronutrients and micronutrients in all different types of food. If we're having a simple balance of fruits, vegetables, grains, proteins, some dairy options, and even oils and fats, we're going to get a variety of those micronutrients to kind of maintain our optimal health. And then we know what it means to eat healthy. We know vegetables and fruits are good, and fast food is bad or unhealthy. We kind of know what that's, and just being mindful, especially when it comes to marketing or how things are prepared. And that's why personally I'm always going to recommend kind of creating your own meals and cooking at home. So we have macros and micros, so different types of nutrients in all the foods that we eat. So nutrients are just those two things right there, macronutrients and micronutrients. So we think macro big and micro small. So from the bottom, micronutrients are an array of different types of small nutrients. Think about vitamins and minerals that are needed to help maintain our body's functions, whether it's our cellular integrity, the strength of our bones, all those different kinds of things that we'll find in the variety of foods that we consume. I'm not going to spend too much time talking about micronutrients, just because we could spend a few more hours talking about them and all their varied needs. What I'd want you to focus on is macronutrients and understanding. Oh, Rachel, you're so fast. Understanding.
I'm sorry, it was my finger.
Understanding macronutrients, so our protein, our carbs, and our fats. And this is where you can make the simplest changes to see the biggest changes in your body, in your wellness, in your body fat and skeletal muscle composition, and having an understanding of what foods contain protein, carbs, and fats. I'll get into those in a little bit more detail after this next slide. Whereas, we know all of our macronutrients make up calories, and we know foods have calories. So micronutrients don't have calories, whereas macronutrients do. So calories is our energy. We get energy and calories from the different foods. And I have just a quick numerical value for the amount of calories for each gram of macronutrient, protein, carbs, and fats. Protein and carbohydrates both have 4 calories per gram, whereas fat has 9 calories per gram. So you can see that fat is more calorically dense as compared to carbohydrates and protein. Alcohol also has calories. It has just about 7 calories per gram. So alcohol is kind of a little bit of a different, it's kind of in the sugar and carbohydrates category, but just something to be aware of that, alcohol does have calories. So on our next slide, I think we're going to be starting off with protein. So when we think of protein, we think of animal meat, animal muscle, as well as soy products, tofu products, as well as some other what are called often superfoods like our nuts, almonds, avocados, as well as dairy products. Personally, I like to think of our meat and soy options as being more pure proteins because they're going to have a greater quantity of protein comparatively to yogurt, avocado, and nuts. They have some protein, but they also have a good amount of those healthy fats that we want. Protein is our major building block for our body. It helps provide structure for our muscles, our bones, our skin, our nails, and our hair. We think of if you're building a house, the protein is the wood beams, the drywall, everything that makes up that structure. So we absolutely need protein, and we need it for that building of skeletal muscle. We usually think of maybe lifting weights as associated with protein, but it's not just for people who are exercises or athletes. Everybody needs protein. And we don't really use protein as energy in our bodies. Our body does not like to use protein as energy. It's very inefficient. Our body prefers to use carbohydrates as energy, which could be our next slide. So carbohydrates, I like the phrase, carbs are not your enemy. They are your energy. Carbs get a bad rap because they are very easily consumed in excess. So carbohydrates are our body's primary source of energy. And keeping it simple when it comes to what foods are carbohydrates, I think of grains, fruits, and vegetables. We all know what our fruits and vegetables are. Fruit is going to have a lot more carbohydrate content than vegetables. Vegetables have very little calories and carbohydrates, but very high in those very vital micronutrients. So our body really likes using carbohydrates as our energy. And we have 2 forms in our body: glucose, which you probably have heard of as blood sugar, and glycogen, which is stored carbohydrates in your muscles. So our body really needs carbs, and especially if you're maybe being very active or if you're starting an exercise program, it can be very important to increase how much carbs you're consuming on a regular basis. But generally, if you're having trouble with weight or maintaining health, reducing the amount of carbohydrates you're consuming would be a great option. And then our third macronutrient is fats. Again, fat gets a bad rap. I hear it all too often that eating fat makes you fat. That's absolutely not true. As we went over before, there are 9 calories per gram of fat, so it is much more calorically dense. But fat is an essential macronutrient that is really important for a lot of our small body functions like cellular integrity, the function of our blood, allowing for hormone production. A lot of those little functions. So I think of fat as the plumbing or the electrical wiring and light switches in your house. Protein is making that structure, and fats are all those little things that are kind of helping keeping it together. So we all like fat. There are some great options that Jason just demonstrated to us, but like you mentioned, there are healthy types and unhealthy types, and that's where we want to try to have a good focus of things like nuts, almonds, cashews, dairy products, avocados, and even our oils like olive oil and canola oil when it comes to cooking. But again, it can be very easy to overconsume fats as a macronutrient, knowing that they are very calorically dense. There's a lot of calories as compared to our protein options and carbohydrate options. So moving on, So I have generally 3 recommendations. I tell it to everybody that I talk with or make recommendations to when it comes to nutrition. And that first recommendation is eat more protein. Right off the bat, I see very often that you're just not eating enough protein. And that's where you look at things, marketing, for example, that something is, extra protein or packed with protein power. Really look at what that means. And I think of, maybe a Kashi Go Lean cereal is going to have twice the amount of protein as maybe Cinnamon Toast Crunch, my personal favorite. but that might be the difference between 4 grams of protein per serving, where the Kashi protein cereal has 8 grams. And that's, it's literally twice as much, but relative for how much you should be eating per day, that's not a huge difference. So that's where trying to focus on our lean meat sources, our soy products, and having a good awareness of where you're getting protein from maybe your dairy or avocado sources or even bread sources is really important. And when it comes to protein, I get asked very often about things like protein powders and protein drinks. There's nothing inherently unhealthy about them. Again, it's just important to understand maybe if they are a dairy derivative, if you have any insensitivities there, or if it's from a different type of source other than whey. So think about complete proteins having all their essential amino acids, and then our incomplete proteins, like our plant sources, they don't have all the essential amino acids. So that's where it can be challenging to get enough protein if you are having a vegan or vegetarian diet. And speaking of vegetables, how many of you can really honestly say that you've had 1 to 2 servings of vegetables so far today? I know I happily can say that I have, but I haven't had all the colors. And I really am looking forward to getting myself some of that yellow and purple cauliflower. Number 2 is eat more vegetables. Very often, it's all too often that people are saying that maybe they're having 0 to maybe 1 serving of vegetables per day. It's really hard to eat too much vegetables. Vegetables don't have a whole lot of calories for how much space they take up in their volume and the large array and amount of micronutrients that they have. That's why vegetables, we want to get these different colors, because all these different colors have different micronutrients and fancy term called phytochemicals that help us literally live longer without spending too much time on that. And then often asked is, do I have to only eat fresh because that's more expensive and I have to prepare it and broccoli is gross? There's great options when it comes to frozen and canned vegetables, still having those great micronutrients and great nutritional value. So, you can't eat too much vegetables. I like to say try to eat something green in every meal, or having 1 to 2 handfuls of vegetables on a daily basis. You make it a snacking option, maybe combine it with some peanut butter or low-calorie ranch dressing. If you're trying to lose weight, if you're trying to gain weight, it might not matter as much. But just simply eat more vegetables. And then thirdly is drink more water. So we know that kind of statistic that humans are somewhere between 60 and 85% composed of water, and we are. We're heavily composed of water, so we need water to survive and thrive. It's a vital nutrient needed for a lot of our bodily functions. So maintaining our cellular integrity, again, our blood, helping hormone transition throughout our body, temperature regulation. And when it comes to just our regular daily performance, exercise or otherwise, being dehydrated will drastically decrease our overall human performance. And when I say that, I don't just mean exercising. I mean your ability to think clearly and quickly while you're at work or while you're driving, everything and anything that you're doing. It's really important to be well hydrated. So this is one of those things where you should try to be drinking water all day, every day. And our minimum recommendation is 50% of your body weight in ounces. So if you are a 200-pound individual, you should be drinking around 100 ounces of water per day, or 4 to 5 bottles of water. Generally, again, something that sometimes people say, I drink all the water in the world, or I don't drink any. So I really recommend trying to measuring and really taking a look at how much water you're drinking on a regular basis. Cool. And then really quickly, a nutrition label. It's really important to be able to navigate a nutrition label and understand what is in your food. And again, nutrition labels are going to have our micronutrient information. And again, I'm not going to spend too much time on that, but really good to note, especially if you have maybe a chronic condition or health concern where you need to limit certain micronutrients, especially sodium. It's really important to know how much might be in a certain food. But looking at this nutrition label, it really shows us where our macronutrients are, our micronutrients, and how much of those macronutrients we have: protein, carbs, and fat. And that's really important in understanding, why am I not losing weight, or I'm not getting stronger, or I need to improve my biometric numbers. Having a great understanding of the food that you're eating and in what amounts. I like to use the example of, you probably have a good idea of your paycheck or how much your mortgage payment is, your insurance payments or your car payments, all those little things. When it comes to our money, we have a really good understanding of how much is coming in and how much we're spending. And I think that's a really great way to think about the food that you eat. How much protein are you really consuming? How much carbs are you consuming versus how many calories you might be burning throughout your day through physical activity and exercise. So really good to have this nutrition label to be able to identify what's in your food. And then finally, going back to those basic recommendations, we could talk about strategies and how much protein should I eat on a regular basis, or how do I track my nutrition appropriately? Here are my exercise goals. What should I do? We could spend all day talking about that on an individualized or basic fashion. That's not what I want to talk about today. Today, I just want to talk about, again, that awareness and understanding that nutrition doesn't have to be complicated. Keeping your portions moderate, having a good variety of food, generally home cooked and whole foods. I think of the produce section, the dairy section, and the butchery section or meat section. All those having whole foods that are not pre-packaged in plastic and boxes. Those whole foods are going to be your best option. Keeping it simple: fruit, vegetables, meat, and grains. And you're going to have a very healthy array of macronutrients and vitamins. And nutrition can very easily be overwhelming, just like exercise. And that last point, small changes make big successes. So don't worry about trying to drink a ton of water. Now that I told you how much you should, think about making small changes. When it comes to consuming more protein, if you try to go from consuming maybe 25 grams a day to 125 grams a day, that's going to seem like a lot. Make small changes for big success. And then finally, again, last slide here. Thank you all for your time. Really happy to be here. Really happy to talk about this and help people live better and healthier and happy lives overall.
Thank you so much, RoQue and Jason. I learned a lot, and I do this all the time. So that was really, really informative. And that cooking demo looked really good, Jason. And for everyone that is still on the webinar, the recipe card is coming. I have it, so you can recreate Jason's dishes at home. So keep an eye out in your inbox for the recipe cards. But I saw a few comments in the chat box, but no questions really. But if anyone has any questions, I'll give you a couple seconds just to drop them in the chat box, and we'll kind of address them real quick if anybody has any comments. If not, thank you both again for the webinar today. I will go ahead and send out the recording as well as soon as it's available. But if we don't have any questions come in, I don't see anything. We will go ahead and conclude today's webinar and send out an email at the conclusion with all of the follow-up information. But thank you all again. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rachel. Thank you, Jason.
Thank you, RoQue.